Welcome to our deep dive, all about Python. We're using an article from DataPro.news called The 10 Most Popular Python Searches.
That's interesting.
You're here because you want to know why Python's so popular, right? And just what those searches say about how people are using it.
Yeah, like we're getting a sneak peek into the minds of Python users.
Exactly. Did you know Python's been #1 on the TIOBE index since 2021, even beat out C and Java?
Really? What?
Okay, but before we dive into the top searches, can you give us some context on Python's history and what makes it so special?
Well, Python was created back in 1991 by Guido van Rossum. He wanted a language that was super readable and easy to use. That's a big reason why it's so popular now.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. Unlike some other languages that are like deciphering hieroglyphics, Python's practically plain English.
So it's like having a conversation with your computer instead of like yelling cryptic commands at it.
Exactly.
The article also talks about Python's versatility, that it's used for everything from web development to AI and data analysis. Sounds like a real Swiss Army knife.
It is. That's one of its biggest strengths. Think of it like this. You could build a website in the morning, analyze data in the afternoon, and then work on a machine learning project in the evening, all using the same language.
All with Python.
Yep. That adaptability makes it super powerful.
That's incredible. No wonder everyone wants to learn it. Okay, let's get to the top 10 searches. The first one is, what is Python? We know it's a programming language, but what's under the hood?
So one of the key things is it's an interpreted language. That means instead of running directly on the hardware, the code goes through a program called the Python virtual machine, like a middleman translating it line by line.
So it's like a real-time translator making sure the computer understands those plain English instructions.
Precisely. And this being interpreted impacts how Python is used. Makes it great for prototyping and experimenting because you see results instantly.
I see.
But it can be a little slower than compiled languages for some things.
Ah, so there are trade-offs. Interesting. Okay, next up, benefits of Python. We've talked about this, but let's break it down. Besides being easy to use and versatile, what else does Python offer?
It has a huge and really active community.
Oh.
That means tons of libraries and frameworks, which are pre-built code you can use, like having a toolbox full of specialized tools.
Wow. Saves a lot of time. So you're not just learning a language, you're joining a whole community.
You got it.
All right, next is Python as an interpreted language. Why do you think people are so focused on this?
It's really fundamental to using Python effectively. It impacts everything from how you debug to what it's best suited for. Think of it this way. A compiled language is like a detailed blueprint for a building.
No.
Once it's built, it's solid and efficient. But changing it is a huge undertaking.
Makes sense.
An interpreted language, on the other hand, is like building with Legos.
Oh.
Flexible, easy to change, but maybe not as strong or efficient as something fully compiled.
That's a really good analogy. All right, next search, lists versus tuples. What are those and why are people so curious about them?
Think of them as containers for data.
Okay.
Key difference is their mutability. A list is like a shopping list. Add, remove, rearrange. It's flexible.
Gotcha. So what are tuples then? Like a preset meal deal at the store?
Kinda. It's more like a fixed menu. Can't be changed once it's set. Immutable.
Okay, lists are flexible, tuples are fixed. Easy. Now the next one is decorators. I thought we were going to talk about interior design.
In Python, it's a little different.
I figured.
They let you add functionality to existing functions without changing the core code. Powerful way to make your code do more cleanly and in modules.
Can you give an example? Real world one.
Like a website with different users, admins, and regular users. You could use a decorator to check permissions before they access certain areas.
Yeah.
So you don't have to repeat that check in every function.
Ah, so it's like extra security or functionality without cluttering the main code.
Exactly.
Very cool. The next two, dictionary and list comprehensions, sound kind of intimidating.
Not really. They're just handy shortcuts. Ways to create lists and dictionaries in a really concise way. Makes your code more efficient and readable.
So it's like a pro move for Python coders.
You could say that.
Okay, on to the init method. Sounds very sci-fi.
It might, but it's basic object-oriented programming.
Okay.
In Python, everything's an object. The init method is a special function that's called when you create a new object from a class. Think of setting up a new phone.
Oh.
Personalizing it with your language, wallpaper, apps. That's like the init method for Python objects.
So giving them their own personality and initial settings?
Exactly.
Cool. What's next?
Python namespaces. It can be a bit confusing for beginners. It's about organizing your code and preventing conflicts. Imagine a giant library with millions of books.
Like the Library of Congress.
Yes. To find a book, you need a system. Namespaces are like that for code. Keeps things organized, especially when different parts use the same variable names.
Ah, so it's like different sections in a library.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Prevents one part of your code from accidentally messing with another.
Got it. Organization is key. Okay, memory management in Python. Sounds like a lot of work.
Luckily, no. Python has a garbage collector. Cleans up unused objects and frees up memory for you.
Like a self-cleaning oven.
Exactly.
Nice. What's the last search on our list?
PP8. It stands for Python Enhancement Proposal 8, basically a style guide for clean, readable code.
So the ultimate guide to beautiful Python code.
You could say that. It's not mandatory, but it's best practice. Make sure your code is easy to read, understand, and maintain, especially when working with others.
Like having shared rules so everyone's code looks neat and tidy.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. We've gone through a lot, from what Python is to some of its advanced stuff.
Definitely. And the article also mentions a great resource for learning more.
You mean Corey Schaefer's YouTube channel?
Yes. He's got millions of subscribers and covers a wide range of topics. It's just one example of the amazing free learning resources out there.
That's encouraging. Feels like there's so much to discover about Python. Let's pause here and reflect on what we've learned.
It's amazing how accessible Python is. You don't need to be a computer science expert to get started.
Definitely. With its easy syntax and supportive community, Python opens up coding for everyone.
But I'm curious, we talked about its popularity now, but what about the future of Python?
That's a question that has everyone excited. Python already plays a big role in cutting-edge fields like AI and data science.
And those fields are just going to keep growing.
Precisely. So how will Python adapt? What new things will it unlock? What new searches will we see?
Those are good questions. And what's great about these deep dives is that we don't just give you information. We want you to explore more. So think about this. What do you think will be the next big Python search trend? What new frontiers will it help us explore?
Good question.
We'll be back in a moment to keep going on our deep dive. Stick around.
See you soon. Welcome back. Before the break, you were thinking about Python's future.
Right. And it got me thinking, are there areas where Python might struggle? You said being interpreted can make it slower.
Yeah, good point.
Could that be a problem as tech keeps advancing?
That's a sharp observation. Python's flexibility is great, but in some areas, performance is key.
Yeah.
Like high-frequency trading or real-time data processing. Python's speed could hold it back.
So people might choose a faster language even if it's harder to use.
Exactly. Different tools for different jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean Python is going away.
Good. So how can Python stay relevant with tech changing so fast?
Well, one thing is constantly improving its core functions and libraries. The community is always working on that.
So like a race to keep up and make it even better.
Yeah. Another key thing is integrating with other languages. So you can use Python's strengths for some parts of a project.
And use something else where it's not as good.
Precisely. That flexibility is important for any language. And don't forget the community, always innovating with new tools and frameworks.
That's what I love about Python, always changing and growing. But we also have to think about the ethics of this powerful tech.
Absolutely. As Python becomes more integrated into our lives, we have to think about responsible AI and things like that.
So it's not just what it can do, but what it should do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that takes ongoing conversation between developers, policymakers, and everyone else.
It's bigger than just the code. It's about its impact on the world.
Yeah.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
We have. There's so much more to explore. I encourage you to go beyond the top 10 searches.
Yeah.
See what sparks your interest. Explore the libraries. Experiment with frameworks. Connect with the community.
And maybe you will be the one to start the next big Python trend.
The possibilities are endless.
It's amazing to think Python's been around for over 30 years and it's still so popular.
I know. It shows how well designed it is and how strong the community is.
You mentioned the community earlier. How important are they for Python's future?
The Python community is incredibly active. People from all backgrounds contributing to its growth.
That's great.
Yeah, they develop new libraries, create educational resources, organize conferences. It's a true open source success story.
So it's more than just a language. It's like a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And that collaborative spirit drives innovation. People are constantly finding new ways to use Python and solve problems.
That's inspiring. So we've talked about the technical stuff and the bigger picture. What are your final thoughts?
I want to emphasize that Python is a gateway to so many things.
Right.
Whether it's building websites, analyzing data, AI, or just learning to code, Python has the tools and the community to help you.
And it's accessible to everyone, no matter their background.
Exactly.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive into the world of Python.
I agree. We've learned so much about its history, its strengths, and its future.
And we hope you've enjoyed exploring it with us.
Definitely. We encourage you to keep learning and experimenting with Python.
Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next big thing in the world of Python.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy coding.